What's up, everybody? Matt Kajeski here, back again with the On Shopper channel, talking some college basketball props via No House Advantage. It is Wednesday, February the 22nd. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. And if you're listening on podcast, please leave a rating and review over there. It helps us a ton. And we are brought to you by No House Advantage. We'll be talking about their props all throughout the video, but they have a bunch of different ways you can take advantage of these player props. Versus the house tool, that is just you versus the listed props on their platform. You can do up to 5 in a lineup where you can 21x your entry fee, or you can play in pick'em contests. That's you versus other people in tournament style action. They have prizes as large as $25,000. And a lot of times they're not filling, which means you have a better chance of actually taking down that prize. They also have a first match deposit bonus up to $100, which you can take advantage of in the video description below. And we'll check them out right now, as you should. We're going to talk 4 player props today. It is a fun slate of college basketball, and we'll kick things off with Wake Forest taking on NC State. Maybe not the Blue Bloods in the ACC, but do not be fooled. This is going to be an awesome game. NC State ranked. Wake Forest has been on a little bit of a tear, and they played in some really close games. The prop I want to talk about is DJ Burns under 16.5 points for NC State. So first off, diving into the game environment of this contest, it is projected to be a high-scoring game. So you do have to fade that if you're taking the under on this prop. It's at 155. NC State is a 6.5-point favorite, which means their team total is right around 81 points. However, DJ Burns does not play consistent minutes for this team. Over the last 3 games, he's played 25, 24, and 24 minutes. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. The team got back Jack Clark. Now, it's not quite the same position, but Jack Clark is a player that does have size for this team, and he provides another body, meaning DJ Burns does not have to play 30 minutes on a night-to-night basis. DJ Burns also has a history of fouling. He actually averages over 5 fouls per 40 minutes, which, do the math, he's fouling out on average if he's playing 40-minute games. That's an issue here, and Wake Forest does have players that can maybe capitalize on this. Now, Wake Forest does not play the best interior defense, which is another risk here, but even without Jack Clark early in the year, DJ Burns has not played the most consistent role. We can reference this against some of his season averages. He averages 12.5 points per game, and that's in 22.4 minutes. Again, he hasn't eclipsed 25 minutes in any of the last 3 games here. Right around the same minute projection for us, he comes in with a projection of 13.3 points, so even above his season average, but that still gives us some value towards the under on this listed prop. So we'll go under DJ Burns, 16.5 points for the first one. Scrolling up, they have a ton of games on this site today. It's awesome. But the second one we want to talk about is in the Tulane versus Houston game. This is going to be an awesome contest in the AAC. Right now, you have Houston around a 14-point favorite, and we're going to talk on the Tulane side with Jalen Cook over 3.5 assists. This is one that just mathematically does not make a lot of sense to me. Yes, Tulane is still a 14-point underdog in this spot, but total's 143.5. The implied team total is 65 for Tulane. It's not like we're talking about a 50-point implied team total or something. This is still serviceable, and we're talking about the primary ball handler of this team. When you look at Cook over the course of the year, his assists per game are actually pretty high for this team. He's averaging 5.2 per game, which is almost 2 higher than the listed prop. I went back and I tried to cross-reference this against some of the previous games he's played. And in the first matchup against Houston, he had 5, which, again, is the toughest opponent the team probably faces this year. In that game, they only scored 60 points, so he still had 5 assists in that contest. He had 2 assists. There. I was looking at the rebound category. But since that game against Houston, let's backtrack. He's been over 5 assists in 5 of the last 6 games. So that actually marks what looks like it's tied for his second lowest outing in assists all season long against Houston, which is a risk here. But anyway, now I look like a dummy regardless. He comes in with a projection of 4.5, so excuse that. I'm still taking the over, even though that data point does not match up. All right, we forge on I'm not re-recording the video, so we can just screw it. Umoja Gibson, under 17.5 points. DePaul versus Butler. This game comes in with a 138.5 total here. DePaul is a 2.5 point favorite against Butler. First thing, Butler plays slow, 68.6 possessions per game. That should slow DePaul, who averages 73 possessions per game. The league average in the NCAA is around 70 possessions per game. And generally, we know that the slower team has an easier time when it comes to controlling the pace of the game. And Umoja Gibson's been awesome this year. He's been playing maximum minutes. I'm not sure they want him to play maximum minutes, but they've dealt with a lot of injuries. So on the year, Umoja Gibson actually averages 16.2 points per game, but that's in 34.9 minutes. Well, recently they actually returned a couple players that are key to this team. Nick Ongenda's back, and they returned Jalen Terry. Now, one of these is more impactful to Umoja Gibson than the other. Jalen Terry is actually the team's backup point guard, reserve point guard. And when Umoja comes off the floor, Jalen Terry will play that position. We saw that in the most recent game. Umoja Gibson's minutes dipped down to 28. Now, it was a semi-competitive game. DePaul lost by 14, but Umoja Gibson didn't even record a foul. So right away, it looks like the rotation can just be expanded a little bit here. And even if that takes off a minute or two for Umoja Gibson, that's impactful towards his minute projection here. With the average already below the listed prop, we view this as a value as well. Projected at 13.3 points on the back end, and that's with over a 30-minute projection. Quite a bit of value on the under for Umoja Gibson. And last one we'll talk about, we'll go to Clemson versus Syracuse. Jesse Edwards over 8.5 rebounds. This is dependent on Jesse Edwards not fouling, which is an issue sometimes. Jesse Edwards is either going to play 28 minutes and foul out, or he's going to play every single minute on the floor. In the last 3 games, he's played 37, 40, and 37 minutes. The spread here is 4 points in favor of Clemson. The total is 143, and Jesse Edwards has a 29% rebound rate on the year. In the last 3 games, that has jumped to 37%. Now, Clemson, they do have some premier big players in the front court, Hunter Tyson, PJ Hall, but they still only rank 181st in rebounding. Syracuse 142nd themselves. It's not great, but as you can see, a vast majority of that comes from Jesse Edwards. And he's a player that is averaging over a double-double a game. Right now, you can look at his season averages. You're going to find 10.2 rebounds per game, 14 points. If he plays as many minutes as we're projecting, which is 37, again, dependent on him not fouling, his rebound projection comes in at 11, which gives us quite a bit of value towards the over 8.5 here. But that'll do it for us today. As you can see in the bottom, 4 props in this lineup pays out 11x. If you find a 5th, that would pay out 21x. You need at least 2, but you can go up to 5. So a lot of cool things you can do with no house advantage. Let me know in the comment section what you think of these props and any others you might like on the board. You can also reach out on Twitter at Matt_Kajeski. I'm available there. And we'll be back tomorrow breaking down the Thursday slate. Until then, good luck, everybody. We'll see you again next time.